There's a lot of Moors. You know, it's always something. It's always something. I want to say peace to all the Moors. There's only one thing that matters right now, and that's, what is your status? Do you have a status? If you don't have a status, then stay mute. Because people are playing games. And people have to stop playing games. It's not games time right now. It's very serious right now. We are the only reason, Moors, the only reason why it's just not slaughter of everybody. Because in this day and age, you really don't know. You know what I mean? You might bump into the wrong nigger as a mercenary. And if a nigger knows law or whatever, you're going to be in some trouble, mercenary. Don't be fooled. Right? And we know for a fact that when we stand up for rights as Moors, we know that people are going to get kidnapped and shit like that. We know that. But, I mean, anything's better than being a nigger slave. Right? Living illusions and calling it reality. Living illusions and having people jump on illusions. Having people jump on illusions. They're gonna set it up so that people who aren't in their mind or proclaimed and declared Moors yet, they pretty much have no chance. Because the suits, the shirt and tie suit Glock guys took Brother Amari from the border, brought him back to the corporate jurisdiction to verify if he was really a Moor. Because, you know, like, you see you have a passport right here, and we see you have a nationality card right here. It's like, are you a Moor? Or so they're well aware of what's up, what's going on. That there are certain people that are a nation within this corporate nation. But that nation that they're within in the corporate nation is part of a bigger jurisdiction than that corporate fraud that they're trying to impose on Aboriginal and Indigenous people. Who, only because of Moors, you know what I mean? They're still around. Only because of people saying, you know what? I'll be no nigger slave. Forget that. I'm gonna stand up for my right. What right? It don't matter. But before I stand up for that right, I better have a status. Better. And it better not be civiliter mortuus, dead in the eyes of the law. Because if that's your status, then don't worry about getting a lawyer and all that stuff. Rights are automatically protected. Rights are automatically protected. And if you have a status, then you have the ability to exercise those rights if you're in your own jurisdiction. If you're in somebody else's jurisdiction, more than likely it's your brother, sister, cousin, or whatever, because we rule the planet, so there's no jurisdiction that we're out of. Every jurisdiction is our jurisdiction as dark-skinned people. But when you engage these individuals from all around the world, what's your status engaging them? Is your status civiliter mortuus? Negro, black, colored, African, all these names, Kemetin, making up stuff saying you come from different galaxies or whatever. Is that your status? Or do you have a status that can easily be verified because it has such longevity on the planet? And this is what we're doing as Moors. Bring people back into this realization that they have a status and they can't play games with people's birthright, because it's their birthright, but to only use correctly. It's not your birthright to misuse, do madness, laying down in the street for rights with your birthright, or supporting those stuff, going to them to show unity. Unity with people who don't have a status. Either all the people have a status, one thing, right, that has longevity on the planet, that anybody could verify, you ask them about it, they know about it, or it's stateless position. And if they're playing a stateless position, the people who have statuses that engage with the stateless people under the guise of unity become stateless themselves, because that's a fraud. Because if you go all around the world, everyone around the world knows their status, and if you talk to them, they will relay that to you. So we want to put unity on the record so people are clear what unity is. And then it's Black's Law Dictionary, and then there's the white man's dictionary. Fine, okay, fine, it's the white man's dictionary, because the only white man is the free white man, which are the Moors, and amalgamations of. And does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, Indo-European, pale people, caveman, Albion, whatever. So if you're saying that we're using the white man's dictionary, okay, fine, yeah, we're using the free white man's dictionary. And the only time that so-called dark-skinned people speak about unity is when their rights are violated, or when somebody is unlawful with them. Other than that, they don't care about unity. But as soon as something goes on, oh, now they want to unite. When there's a law, everybody's doing their madness. Right? So we're going to use a law dictionary because law always applies. Because law is something divine, not natural or earthly. Law is divine. So we use a law dictionary for words relative to law, using the right words. So anybody who talking about unity but not talking about it from this perspective, they're not about unity. There's some stateless people playing games with your birthright. Unity in the law of estates. The peculiar characteristic of an estate held by several in joint tenancy, and which is fourfold: unity of interest, unity of title, unity of time, and unity of possession. In other words, joint tenants have one and the same interests, accruing by one and the same time, and held by one and the same undivided possession. Now, before we even go further, you just have to make sure that we know what estate is, so we can be clear. Again, you have to use the law dictionary because law always applies. Always. Cannot excuse law. Law always applies in everything. You sit on a chair, law applies. If there's no chair there, law applies. So don't let people pull their little, white man's dictionary and stuff, bam, correct them one time who the free white people are, and get back to reading what's supposed to be read out of the white man's stuff, which is us. That's why we use it as a reference all the time. And any book that they say is the white man's stuff is really our stuff, because we taught those Europeans, and now they're doing what they're supposed to do, what we taught them, putting the information out. Estate. The interest which one has in lands or in other subject or property. An estate in lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such interest as the tenant has therein, the condition or circumstance in which the owner stands with regard to his property. In this sense, estate is constantly used in conveyances in connection with the words right, title, and interest, and is in a great degree synonymous with them all. The degree, quantity, nature, and extent of interest with which a person has in real property is usually referred to as an estate, and it varies from absolute ownership down to naked possession. Now, the contradiction is that you have these people who are pushing an ideal of they're not from here, right? They're not from here. They're not from the Americas. They were forced here, and they need to go back home or whatever. But the arguments that they're making, which are legitimate arguments, with regard to slavery and being in servitude and whatever, they're not being done from their estate. If they're claiming that their black power, their Kemet, their Hebrew whatever, Rasta, whatever, and white man did something to them, which was against the law, and they're making an argument. Why are they making the argument not in their estate? Why are they making an argument in land foreign to them? Oh, because they haven't went back home yet. But then they want to win an argument. And on top of that, being in the wrong estate, you have no status. That's why we tell people that over here is Morocco. Congressional records, once again, the white man, Europeans, in their stuff, telling people what's good. Telling people what's good. But you want to hear what Moors are saying. But European has stuff documented in the biggest library. The other nations agree that, yeah, that's a valid spot to go get certain information. So there is no unity unless all the individuals agree to their estate. None of these people agree to their estate. And then people who know that there's an estate and have an estate, they're playing where we have a flag or a headwear or a whatever, and we're called incorporated. So we can be part of the... No, those are stateless people. And those stateless people look just like you. That's wearing a fez. That's holding the Moroccan flag. And we're going to play the game like these individuals who you're claiming, yeah, this is unity. Unity of the what? Unity of who? Unity of the black people? With people who have Moroccan flag in there? Unity of the African people? With people who have a Moroccan flag in there? If you can't represent for your nation, not some fake stuff that you just tell me that that's where your nation is, but when I ask you prove it, show me some papers or some documentation that that's the nation that you represent. Nobody can't show anything. Only people who could show something are Moors. And they're taking this position that they have, and at the risk of getting kidnapped by some highwayman, some mercenary, for standing on his right. They're going to play games. There is no excuse for people not to claim that there are more and then go do whatever you want to do. If you're going to say that you're LB and push black power, alright, make sure everybody who's pushing black power with you says that they're LB too, and you guys push your black power. Make sure you have a status. Oh, you want to be Kemetic? Decipher the Medu and whatever? That's cool. We could use you, but not in that dead status that you can't prove to me that you're ancient Kemetic. Where you got Kemetic name, but you don't got ID to prove that you're Kemetic, or papers. or nothing. It's spiritual. Oh, well, this is divine and national, and we have nationality card. Divine is spiritual. So, as Moors, we can prove this is spiritual. This is not some religious cult or whatever. This is spiritual. You guys are spiritual. Prove to me your stuff. No, I can't prove it. Okay, so why y'all say that you're Moors then? Since we've been exercising as Moors, I'm proving it at the risk of getting kidnapped by some highwaymen. That other people, they're not taking that risk. Stand up to this European that they call the devil and the white man and whatever. They never stand up to them. They go pay their tickets and all that stuff. They probably just try not to get them, right? And they make sure that they don't have to go face to face with this European colonizer. But they're, going to shooting ranges, taking their children to shooting range to go shoot black targets, I bet you. Talking about conscious. And they have no status. And then the people who have a status, that know that status is the first issue at law, are going to play the game like, yeah, well, we're just here at the barbecue too, just to eat some food, and you know what I'm saying, and we have a duty to uplift fallen humanity. All these people that claim some position other than their Moors, their status is a fraud because they cannot prove it. Whatever contract it is that they're involved in, guaranteed, bet you, regardless of what they call themselves, they checked off black. And if they checked off black, then that means they're not who they say that they are. Because, we're the real government. And we're demanding you to prove it. Prove it. If you're Kemetic, if you're whatever you say that you are, we're not even knocking it. But prove it. Prove to me some type of documentation that you have participated in society under who you say you are. Status is the first issue at law, regardless of what. If you have no status, then you're not counted. And of course, they're going to play their game, and then we're going to continue doing what we do, right? Because we already know what the obligation is. We already know what was laid down. And we're trying to get these knuckleheads to realize that not everybody that looks like you is your brother. Crabs in the bucket only applies if you're a crab. So if you want to be a crab, put yourself in the bucket, then hey, do your thing. Status is the first issue. And supreme honors to all the Moors who stand up for their birthright. Supreme honors to the Moors who proclaim and declare their nationality. That told all these colonists wherever, whether you sent it to them, whether you whatever, you let them know that that slave birth certificate crap that you had, that you tried to impose on me, that applies no more. That only applies if I want it to apply. And exercising and living your life as a Moor in honor of the noble prophet who told us that we're Moors. Only individual to tell us that we should proclaim and declare that we're that. Not tell us some historical whatever. Not tell us go to the state and get a form from them and change your name to. None of that. Declaring and proclaiming that you are who your ancient foremothers and forefathers were that civilized the planet. And in the modern times, till the end of time, they'll be known as Moors. They're not going to be known by anything else. And as soon as you step out of that jurisdiction, you're committing a fraud. Now, we want to make sure that we put on the record, right, that parading around a stage at some lecture, passing around a bucket, singing "Pass the Bucket" like "Pass the Dutchie," and starting at 100 notes down to $1 to pay for some AC and an extra 2 hours at a lecture space. That stuff there is why Jesus turned over the tables of the money changers. That stuff there is why Youth Man Jesus, Yahshua, Isa, whatever the hell you want to call him, the descendant of his ancient foremothers and forefathers, turned over these guys' tables in their stuff, telling them that they're running a fraud. Telling them that they're running a fraud. Youth Man. Those days are back again. Do you understand that these conscious community guys a group of those guys made a water a military specialist tested the water, and the water came back as worse than tap water. That people who drank that water might be getting kidney stones because they drank that water. Because that's how toxic the water was. That somebody in a conscious community made. And these people putting stuff in the bucket? Fools. And they deserve to get robbed for every penny that they have. They deserve to put in an order for a shirt, and 5 years later no shirt came yet. You deserve it because you're a goddamn fool, because we've been telling you that these people are playing you. They're not representing no nationhood of nothing. They're representing their little clique, their little crew, their little group, club, whatever, to rape the people so they can have a pension plan and parade around the world like they're doing lectures and stuff when they're just going away on people's fiat that they stole. And then they come back after a little while with a new name and everybody jumps on it again, on the bandwagon like some jackass. Right now, at this moment, the level of awareness of Moors has risen to the level where you have Europeans, right? You have Europeans who use Moors as a shield for them to put out information about the Moors and not end up like certain people under tractors and stuff like that, flipped over. Why? Because they realize, they recognize that the shield is the Moors. If you have Moors in your stuff, you can get away with anything. You can get away with anything if you have Moors in your stuff. If you have Moors in your stuff, you can tell so much stories, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much stories you can tell. If you have Moors, these dark-skinned people that are misclassified, called all these different kind of names, and everybody in the world knows who we are. We don't have anything to prove as Moors. We're doing our best to draw your attention to the fact that this is real. This is not some fake comedic stuff where they're going to tell you a comedic name, and when you ask them, prove it, they can't show you identification that that's who they are, but they're going to show you a state license or whatever. And if they show you a state license or something like that, it's not going to have that name on it that they say that they are. And if it does, it's going to be in all caps, which means that they still don't have anything to prove. They didn't do like Brother Amari and put two of them down. Do you want to say play jurisdiction games? Okay, fine. I have two of the stuff. Now what? Oh, we got a warrant. We got a warrant for you. We can't cross the border. Yeah, you guys come get them. Found a warrant somewhere out the blue because he called their card. It's all about status right now. I'm going to tell you again, Europeans are using the history of the Moors as a shield to tell the story of the Moors. You don't have to worry about losing tenure or nothing like that, because this is their own stuff that they're putting out. You're not going to no freaking get no grant from no university and stupid stuff like that. They do it independent in order to tell the story of the Moors. And then Moors are going to talk about, you dirty Moors naturalizing Europeans, going against Noble Drew Ali. Shut the hell up. What the hell are you guys doing? Nothing but talking crap. There ain't no Moors that even wrote no book like this on the Moors. Talking about. That's why we have a prophet, because Noble Drew Ali told us that the Europeans are fellow man. When we got on top, treat them nice. Connotative nice. Because learn to love instead of hate. It's the lesson. Learn to love instead of hate. Where you're going to call people out their name, have lecture with all these thousands of freaking people. You're showing Europeans with tails and stuff like that, talking about devils and stuff. Like, hatred, severe hatred, is why they get nowhere. Because they could get a little something as, black people. But their hatred for others is their downfall as well. On top of them not having no status. And all these Europeans wrote all these books, told these people that they're Moors. Now they're not listening to them. They're going to listen to some comedic black guy who doesn't have a status. They listen to them, but they're not going to listen to the European who has a nationality or whatever like that, telling them their truth that Europeans try to get rid of. And the Europeans resurrecting stuff that other Europeans try to get rid of. And they can't touch them because they're talking about the Moors. And once you say you have allegiance with the Moors, you're tied to the Moroccan Empire. And that's it. Nobody's not questioning where Morocco, the furthest west, is in the world. If it's just like with these stupid people always bringing up Morocco when Moors bring up Morocco. Remember, European records tell people this. There's no way that Maghreb, Al-Aqsa, could mean Morocco in Africa. Because Morocco in Africa is north. How do you get west out of north? You can't. Because west is a specific direction. And it's also a notch on our Quran, circle 7. It's also. So they've been going hard, telling the truth, not even lying, right? Go get them. Don't worry about these black guys and their stupid stuff about white man is the devil and stuff like that. Right? Yeah, white man is the devil. The lower self of the white man is the devil. And we already told you that the white man is not some European pale individual. The white man is the dark-skinned people because it's a status, not skin complexion. And the black people are really the pale people because black means pale. Bleach. Don't get it effed up. Don't. Because they got some Europeans that put their life on their line to make sure that the history of the Moors would never die. Europeans risking more than Moors to tell the story of the Moors. Imagine that. Imagine that. Everybody telling these jokers, and they want to play games with people's birthright. Playing games with people's birthright. Selected writings and speeches of Marcus Garvey. Dover Books. Once again, selected writings and speeches of Marcus Garvey. Page 58. The Hidden Spirit of America. Quote, history recalls where a race of slaves, through evolution, through progress, has risen to the heights where they ruled and dominated those who once enslaved them. Liberty Hall, New York City, February 13th, 1922. The Negro World, February 18th, 1922. My subject for tonight is the hidden spirit of America. Before I speak on the subject, I would read to you a bit of news. It is important because it strikes at the vitals of the greater matter of the Negro problem, the solution of it. Those of you who are readers of the Negro World will remember seeing in the paper this week that bit of news that comes from Mississippi, which reads as follows. Jackson, Mississippi, January 31st. Senator McCollum today introduced the state Senate in session here a concurrent resolution providing for the legislature of Mississippi to memorialize the President of the United States and the National Congress to secure by treaty, by purchase or other negotiation sufficient territory in Africa to make a suitable and final home of the American Negro, where under the tutelage of the American government he can develop for himself a great republic, to become in time a free and sovereign state, and take its place at the council board of the nations of the world. This is Marcus Garvey talking. Now, he's referencing his Negro stuff. He's referencing his Negro thing. But he's talking about American government, because he knows that it was the United States that was against him. He knows that it was the United States that was against him. It's in the book, Philosophies and Opinions. So it's interesting that he's saying American government and American Negro, not just Negro, but American Negro. Senator McCollum proposes to use such part of the Allied war debt as may be necessary to acquire such territorial possessions to the end that America shall become a nation of one blood, as it is in spirit, and, as he says, to give the American Negro opportunity for the development of racial rights under the most advantageous circumstances. The subject, the hidden spirit of America, is brought out forcibly in this bit of news that recounts Senator McCollum's intention for the proposing that this nation seek in some way or other to establish for the American Negro a sovereign state of his own, a nation of his own in Africa, because he desires that America shall become a nation of one blood, as it is in spirit. I trust you will readily grasp the meaning of that sentence of Senator McCollum's intended resolution. It brings out without any camouflage the very thing the Universal Negro Improvement Association has been preaching for 4.5 years, that America in spirit at the present time is a white man's country, and it is going to be so in fact, and as far as it will be in fact. That is why Senator McCollum is trying in his way to solve the great problem by having the President and Congress decide that America shall establish for the Negroes of America a sovereign state somewhere in Africa. After all, the Universal Negro Improvement Association is not so crazy in thinking about the possibility of the African nation of Negroes. We find that we have a crazy senator who is trying to get the president and Congress and the whole nation crazy also, so that it would appear that the whole country is going crazy with this idea of an African nation for the Negroes of the world. The same reason why Senator McCollum desires a nation in Africa for the American Negro is the same reason why other Negroes in other parts of the world who are outside of Africa desire a nation also in Africa, so that we are not only going to have a nation for the American Negroes or a nation for the West Indian Negroes, but we are going to have a nation for all Negroes. And the Universal Negro Improvement Association, I say now without any reserve, is very much in sympathy with Senator McCollum's resolution, because that has been our program for the last 4.5 years. Now, that's 1922, and there's way more, but you know, we'll stop there, because you could just go check or go get the book or whatever. That was 1922. Now, take Marcus Garvey as he is speaking from this position, and now introduce him to Noble Drew Ali, and understanding that yes, everything that you're saying is right and exact, but the reality is that you don't have a status. Because Negro, here's my 101 questionnaire. Go to the question right there. What is a Negro? It's a four-legged beast. So man cannot be Negro. And you know, don't forget, Garvey's talking about American government and all this stuff like that, telling them about nationality, talking about he wanted to naturalize, be a U.S. citizen so they don't get him in the jurisdiction, when that was really getting him in the jurisdiction, right? So remember that he had a certain mindset with regard to quote-unquote law. He wasn't absent-minded of law. He knew something. We take what Marcus Garvey, right? We take what Marcus Garvey was representing with the UNIA, and when you think about him correcting his concept and unifying his association with Noble Drew Ali's, you have problems. Because the only problem was status. It was the only issue. Only issue was status. But we're going to show you what Garvey knew. What he knew. Because Garvey wasn't. He was quite ahead of his time. He was just talking from that perspective of Negro, which voids the position, because Negro is not a status that you can have, that you can claim. Right? Now, you want to make sure that you put this on the record, okay? So this is 1926, Holy Quran, right? And then we have 1923, and this is in Selected writings and speeches of Marcus Garvey. Right? 1923, 1926. The end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner that was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did taught and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. Right. 26. The fight for Negro rights and liberty begun in real earnest. New York City, May 22nd, 1923. If the enemy could only know that Marcus Garvey is but a John the Baptist in the wilderness. May 22nd, 1923. If the enemy could only know that Marcus Garvey is but a John the Baptist in the wilderness. Now, if Garvey is calling himself John the Baptist, and then Noble Drew Ali came and said that Marcus Garvey is his forerunner, that would mean that some type of ancestral force inspired Marcus Garvey to say these words, that he is, not kinda, sorta, he is John the Baptist in the wilderness. This is Garvey. And Noble Drew Ali came and followed it up. And that forerunner is to come to the prophet. Because, you know, Rastafari is going to say that, oh yeah, it was Haile Selassie that he was talking about. But no. A good try, but no. Because Haile Selassie is not a prophet. He's King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, Haile Selassie, Emperor. I hear nothing about prophet in there. So this is the importance of this great man, Marcus Garvey. He came to prepare the people to meet their prophet. That's what he came for. Other people could say whatever they want to say, but here's the documented fact that he knew that he was John the Baptist. So if he knew, then that means that he was divinely prepared for that position.